Katie was 7 years old, sitting on my kitchen counter, licking pierogi dough off a fork. She looked at me and said, "Mama, I'm always going to live next door to you." She meant it. I believed her. Katie is 34 now. She lives in Phoenix, Arizona, 2,047 miles from my kitchen in Kettering, Ohio. She moved for a job, a great job. I helped her pack the boxes, and I need to tell you what nobody warns you about. What happens when you raise your daughter to be brave enough to leave? My name is Connie Dalton. I'm 67 years old. I live in Kettering, Ohio, in the same 3-bedroom ranch house where I raised my daughter. And most evenings, right around 6:30, I end up standing in my kitchen, not really doing anything, just standing there, hands on the counter, the light going out in the window over the sink. It's a Wednesday, which means Sunday is 4 days away. Sunday is when Katie calls. The rest of the week, the phone sits right there on the counter, face up, next to the salt and pepper shakers. It tells me the weather. It tells me the pharmacy's got a refill ready. It does not tell me anything I actually want to hear. I've got a 3-bedroom house and a 1-person life. Katie's room is down the hall. I haven't changed it. Her track trophies are still on the shelf, her old quilt still on the bed. The guest room has Oliver's crib in it from when they used to visit. I should take it down. I know I should. I just haven't. I make coffee in the morning. Sometimes I use Frank's mug. My husband, Frank. He passed in 2019. Heart attack. Quick. He didn't suffer, they told me, like that's supposed to help. So now it's just me and his mug and the house and the quiet. I pass through this kitchen 20 times a day, and every time I pass the door frame, I see the pencil marks, little lines going up the wood, Katie's name next to each one, and her age and the date I wrote it. I don't always look at them on purpose, but I always know they're there. They're like a pulse in the wall. I'm proud of my daughter. I need you to understand that. I am so proud of her, it makes my chest hurt. And I think that's the part nobody talks about, that pride and grief can live in the same chest, and neither one will leave. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Anyway, Katie was 7 years old, sitting on my kitchen counter with her legs swinging, watching me make pierogies. My mother's recipe, the Polish side. You boil the potatoes, you mash them with the farmer's cheese, you pinch the dough shut, and you don't rush it. My mother taught me. I taught Katie. Well, I tried. Katie's job was licking the fork and talking. Lord, that child could talk. She was telling me about her friend Megan's new hamster and how she was going to ask for one too. And I said, "Katie, we are not getting a hamster." And she said, "Fine. Then I'm going to live next door to you forever so I can come see Megan's." And I laughed, and she looked at me, dead serious, popsicle sticky fingers and all, and she said, "Mama, I'm always going to live next door to you." She was 7. She believed it. And the thing is, I believed it too. Frank was alive then. He worked at the GM parts plant off West 3rd. He'd come home smelling like machine oil and sit in his recliner and watch the Reds and not say much. Frank wasn't a talker. He was a be-there person. He was there every single day for 34 years, and that was his way of saying everything he needed to say. Sundays, we'd go to Mass at St. Albert the Great, all 3 of us, and then to Bob Evans after. Katie always got the smiley face pancake even when she was too old for it. Frank got the same thing every time. Country fried steak, eggs over easy. I can still see him cutting that steak with his left hand because his right elbow was bad from the plant. That was the routine. Every week, for years. Mass, Bob Evans, then home. The house full of something I didn't have a word for back then. I do now. I'd call it enough. Katie was smart, scary smart, even young. She organized her dolls by height. She'd ask me questions I couldn't answer about space, about how bridges work, about why the sky doesn't fall. Connie Dalton did not go to college. Frank Dalton did not go to college. But we were going to make damn sure Katie did. I worked overtime every December, extra filing, extra reports, whatever they needed at the insurance office, so I could put a little more in the college fund. I drove Katie to math tutoring in Centerville 3 nights a week, 40 minutes round trip. I sat in the parking lot with a book and a thermos and I waited. I proofread her college application essays at the kitchen table at 11 at night, not understanding half of what she wrote, but knowing it was good. She got into the University of Dayton, then a master's at Ohio State, then a job in Columbus, which was only an hour away. And I thought, okay, this is how it works. She's close, she's doing well, this is what we built. Then she met Min, good man, quiet like Frank, kind eyes. They got married. Then Oliver came along, my grandson, my Oliver, and they were living 40 minutes from me. Oliver came over on Saturdays. I'd put him on my hip and walk him through the house and show him things the way you do with a baby, like everything is brand new, because to him it was. I measured him on the doorframe, right below Katie's lines. I wrote Oliver age 1 in the same pencil in my same handwriting, and I stood back and I looked at it, 2 generations on one piece of wood, and I thought, this is it, this is the rest of my life. Grandchildren in my kitchen, Sunday dinners, the house full again. I thought the hard part was over. January 2024. Katie and Min came over for dinner, without the kids. That was the first thing I noticed. Katie doesn't leave those kids unless she has something to say. They sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I used to proofread her essays. Katie had that look, the one she gets when she's been practicing something in the car. Min was quiet, which wasn't unusual for Min, but his quiet was a different kind that night, a careful kind. Katie told me she'd gotten a job offer, a big one, senior data analyst at a healthcare technology company. Good title, great money, the kind of job you don't say no to, in Phoenix, Arizona. I smiled. I know I smiled because I felt my face do it. I said, "That's wonderful, honey," and I hugged her. I meant it, both things, the smile and the meaning, but I also felt something close under my rib cage, like a drawer shutting in a room I couldn't get back into. Katie was watching me. I could feel her reading my face, the way she used to when she was little and she'd broken something and was trying to figure out if I was mad. She was waiting to see if it was safe to be happy, so I made it safe. I said, "Tell me everything." I looked it up later on Google Maps. 2,047 miles. I don't know why I needed the exact number. I just did. The thing is, I know. I know this is exactly what I raised her to do. I pushed for the education. I drove to the tutoring. I filled out the FAFSA at midnight with a calculator and a headache. I built the runway. Katie is flying. The plane is just going farther than I planned, and I know, I could have said something. I could have said, "I'm scared, Katie." I could have said, "What about Oliver? What about me?" But what kind of mother asks her daughter to shrink? What kind of mother says, "Don't take the best job of your life because I'll be lonely"? So I swallowed it, and I've been swallowing it for almost 2 years now. March 2024. I helped them pack. I labeled boxes in my best handwriting, the admin in me, everything in its place. Kitchen, Oliver's room, books, fragile. I held Oliver while they loaded the truck. He was 2. He didn't understand. He kept saying, "We going bye-bye, Nana Con?" And I said, "Yeah, buddy, big bye-bye." And I held him so tight he squirmed. I stood in the driveway and I waved. I waved until the truck turned the corner onto Wilmington Pike. Then I went back inside and I walked to the kitchen door frame and I put my fingers on the pencil line that says Katie, age 6, September 2nd, 1996, and I didn't move for a very long time. Katie calls every Sunday. I live for Sunday and I dread Sunday in equal measure. The calls are 11 minutes, sometimes 20 if Min's got the kids and Katie's not rushing. We talk about Oliver's preschool, Rosie's teeth, Min's commute, the weather in Phoenix, which is always either perfect or 112 degrees, and I don't understand how people live like that. Katie asks me how I am, and I tell her the gutters need cleaning or that Donna's hip is acting up. We trade information. We do not trade feelings. I will not put this weight on Katie. She didn't do anything wrong. She took a good job. She's a good mother. She calls every Sunday, which is more than a lot of people get. I know that. But the calls are 11 minutes long and we talk about gutters. My neighbor Donna Kiefer, she's lived next door for 22 years. She knows about the calls. She knows the whole thing. And one afternoon we were sitting on her patio and she said, well, at least she calls you. And I wanted to say, Donna, the call is 11 minutes long and we talk about gutters. But I didn't, because she's right. At least Katie calls. Donna's kids are in Columbus, close enough to drive. She doesn't know what this is. She means well, she just doesn't know. I still buy Cheerios. Oliver's brand, the yellow box. They're in the cabinet right now. I don't eat Cheerios. I haven't eaten Cheerios in my life. But every other week I put them in the cart like Oliver's coming Saturday and I don't stop myself. I don't know why. I also still wash the crib sheet in the guest room when I do laundry, even though nobody sleeps in that crib. I fold it and I put it back and I smooth it out and I close the door. Once a month maybe. Katie sets up a video call so I can see the kids. Oliver's on screen for 2 minutes, 3 if I'm lucky. Last time he said, "Hi, Nana," and he held up a toy truck he wanted to show me. And then he just walked away, right out of the frame. He saw something in the other room and he left. He's 4. That's what 4-year-olds do. They don't know they're breaking your heart. They just see a toy. I sat there looking at the empty part of the screen for, 5 seconds, 10. It felt longer. Then Katie's face came back and she said, "Sorry, Mom, he's in a phase." And I said, "Oh, it's fine." Because what else do you say? He used to call me Nana Con. He made it up himself. I don't know what he calls me now, or if he calls me anything. And then there's Rosie, my granddaughter, 14 months old, born in Phoenix. I've held her twice. Once when she was 3 weeks old. I flew out, first flight I'd taken since 1998, and once at Christmas when they visited. She cried both times, because I'm a stranger to her. I'm her grandmother, and I'm a stranger, and that's not anybody's fault. It's just 2,047 miles doing what 2,047 miles does. Last Christmas, they came for 4 days. 4 days out of 365. I cooked for a week. I made the pierogies. I bought Oliver new pajamas with dinosaurs on them because I'd seen on Katie's Facebook that he was into dinosaurs. I look at her Facebook. She doesn't know I do that. I held Rosie, who screamed. I read Oliver a story, and he sat in my lap for about 90 seconds before he wanted down. They flew back on December 27th. I washed the dishes that night, and I found a Cheerio under the high chair. Just one. Stuck to the floor. I picked it up and I held it in my palm, and I stood there in the kitchen holding a Cheerio like it was something precious, because it was. The phone sits on the counter every night, face up. I look at it before bed. I don't call Katie during the week because I don't want to be a burden. I don't text too much because she's busy. I wait for Sunday. The phone is just a clock that counts in 7-day intervals. Sometimes I talk to Frank, standing at the doorframe usually. I say, "Frank, you should see her. She's doing so good." And then I say, "Frank, I miss her so much I can't breathe." And then I go to bed. Katie, if you were sitting at this table right now, right here in your old spot by the window, I'd want you to know something. A few things. Things I don't say on Sunday, because Sunday is 11 minutes, and I don't want to waste them on making you feel bad. I am so proud of you. I need to say that first because it's the truest thing. You have a master's degree. You have a job that I can't even explain to Donna. You have 2 beautiful children and a good husband and a house in a city with a cactus in the backyard that blooms. You did that, you built that, and part of me, a big part, wants to stand up and cheer and say, "That's my daughter, that's my Katie." But nobody told me that watching you succeed would feel like this. Nobody told me that the house would get this quiet, that Oliver would walk out of a video call and I'd feel it in my chest for the rest of the day, that Rosie would cry when I hold her because she doesn't know my face, that I'd buy Cheerios every 2 weeks for a little boy who's 2,000 miles away and doesn't ask for them. I'm not asking you to come back. I would never ask you that. I'm not asking you to feel guilty. I'm not asking for anything, Katie. I don't want you to read this and think, "Oh God, Mom." That's not what this is. I just need you to know. The woman who drove you to Centerville 3 nights a week and sat in a parking lot with a thermos, she's sitting in the kitchen now, looking at pencil marks on a door frame, missing you so much it has a sound. It sounds like the furnace running in an empty house, a low hum you can't turn off. You just learned to live inside it. I would raise you the exact same way. Every spelling test I quizzed you on, every college essay I proofread at 11 at night. Every December I worked overtime so the fund would grow. Every single thing I did to make you smart enough and brave enough to leave, I would do it all again, every bit of it, even knowing it ends with me here. Call me Sunday. I'll be here. I'm always here. It's night now. The kitchen's dark except for the light over the stove. The little one, the one I always leave on. I used to leave the porch light on too, back when Katie was a teenager and coming home late. I'd sit up and wait and I'd see the headlights turn into the driveway and I'd know she was safe. I don't leave the porch light on anymore. There's nobody driving up. I touch the door frame on my way out, just a brush, my fingers on the pencil lines. I don't stop. I just let my hand trail across them like there's something I'm reading in Braille. I pick up the phone, look at it, no notifications. I set it face up on the counter. Sunday is 3 days away. I walk down the hall, past Katie's room, past the crib, past the guest bathroom where Oliver's little towel is still hanging on the low hook because I put it there at Christmas and I haven't moved it. "Good night, Frank," I say, to the house, to the rooms. "Good night, Katie Bug." Nobody answers, but I say it every night. I think that's what love sounds like when there's no one around to hear it. You just say it to the rooms and you hope it carries. If you're sitting in a house that's too big for one person and you're proud of your children and you miss them at the same time, I see you. I know what that sounds like. I know the hum. And if you've got a mother somewhere who answers on the first ring every Sunday, maybe call her on a Wednesday. Just once. She won't say it, but it would mean the world. If you know this feeling, share this with someone who understands. And if you haven't called home in a while, you know what to do.